Good morning and welcome to World News here on TVP World. My name is Diana Skaya. On Wednesday, Lithuania's defense minister said there was still no confirmation on the fate of 4 U.S. soldiers who went missing during a training exercise on Tuesday. Now, the statement came after NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte initially suggested the soldiers had been killed. Vilnius later clarified Rutte's remarks, saying that their status remained unknown. The soldiers' submerged armored vehicle has since been located and recovery efforts are underway.
There is certainly no confirmation. As soon as we have confirmation of one outcome or another, we will definitely share the news with everyone. I think it's very important that Lithuanian and American soldiers are working shoulder to shoulder alongside representatives of other institutions. We have also involved private companies because many additional efforts will have to be taken to get to the bottom of this as soon as possible.
The necessary equipment is now getting here. The area is swampy, so we need heavier equipment. Regarding the time the operation will take, it will probably depend on how well we manage to drain certain areas. And of course, it will depend on weather conditions. There is an ongoing investigation, with military police and prosecutor involvement. The search and rescue operation continues, so I don't want to make any further comments at this particular moment.
Poland will no longer process asylum applications from people entering the country from Belarus. Now, the suspension of asylum rights will be effective for 60 days with an option to extend it. The suspension bill, which the president signed after it was passed by parliament, applies to the Polish-Belarusian border, which since 2021 has been the target of a hybrid operation orchestrated by the Kremlin. Now, according to Warsaw, Belarusian authorities have encouraged undocumented migrants to storm the EU border into Poland. Polish border guard reports say that just on March 25, there were over 80 attempts to illegally enter Poland from Belarus. Over the past week, over 500 such attempts were recorded. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte said the military alliance would respond with full force in the event of an attack on Poland or any ally country. Now, Rutte's remarks came as Europe faces uncertainty over America's commitment to the Security Pact. Rutte touched down in Warsaw on Thursday to meet with Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk and President Andrzej Duda. Sonia Gata-Biszczan reports.
In his meeting with the Polish Prime Minister, NATO Secretary General made it clear that in the event of an attack on Poland, the alliance would step in.
If anyone were to miscalculate and think they can get away with an attack on Poland or on any other ally, they will be met with the full force of this fierce alliance. Our reaction will be devastating.
He made it very clear that the commitment is rock solid, and he sent very strong message to Putin.
NATO is operating under the principle that an attack against one ally is considered an attack against them all, vested in Article 5 of the NATO treaty. Recognizing Russia as a real threat not only to Ukraine but also to Europe, Donald Tusk emphasized the importance of ensuring Poland's security.
Who more than Poland deserves full support and full guarantees from NATO? We can't change our geographical position, we can't change our history, but we are determined like no other NATO country. When it comes to defense spending, we really spend a lot on defense.
Mark Rutte applauded Poland for its defense expenditure, which at 4.7% of GDP for 2025 is the highest among NATO members.
He's tried to convince the rest of Europe to spend more, and Poland plays an example in his rhetoric to Americans that, look, Europe is stepping up.
The NATO Secretary General later met with Polish President Andrzej Duda and delivered a lecture titled Stronger NATO, Commitment to Euro-Atlantic Security.
It's great to be back in Warsaw,
which focused on Ukraine and the surrounding peace talks. Speaking to the media, Rutte shared his vision of a lasting peace with TVP World.
When you have a full ceasefire / a peace deal, what the Americans are now doing step by step is trying to get there. I commend their efforts. But obviously what we need to make sure of is that when this war ends one day, that Putin will not try this again.
This is Rutte's second visit to Poland since he took on the role as NATO Secretary General last October. From Warsaw, for TVP World, Sonia Gata-Biszczan.
A Russian drone strike on Kharkiv has left at least 9 people wounded and ignited multiple fires across the city, according to Ukraine's State Emergency Service. The attack targeted residential areas and civilian infrastructure. It resulted in 4 separate blazes, with the largest fire breaking out at an industrial building. Ukrainian emergency response teams, including medical staff, firefighters, and utility workers, are on site to contain the situation. Kharkiv Governor Oleg Sinyahubov condemned the attack, writing on Telegram that, quote, "No country should have to go through this." Now located just 30 kilometers from the Russian border, Kharkiv continues to face frequent drone, missile, and bomb attacks. The European Commission announced that sanctions against Russia would only be lifted with the withdrawal of all Russian forces from Ukrainian territory. The United States, however, has taken a different approach. On Wednesday, the EU made it clear that it would not follow Washington's lead on adjusting sanctions against Russia. The Commission's precondition is clear: Russia must completely pull out of Ukraine. Meanwhile, the United States has agreed to lift some sanctions against Moscow if Russia commits to halting attacks at sea and against energy infrastructure. EU member states extended their sanctions against Russia for another 6 months at the end of January and then earlier this month. Any adjustments require unanimous approval among all 27 member states. In a joint statement with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Paris, French President Emmanuel Macron has announced that France would provide an additional 2 billion euros in military aid to Ukraine. Now, this new support package includes anti-tank missiles, surface-to-air missiles, armored vehicles, drones, and additional Mirage fighter jets.
First and foremost, immediate support for Ukraine. We need to continue our efforts. It's necessary to keep up the resistance. And today I was able to announce a further 2 billion euro in military support for Ukraine from France. Far from proving that it really wants peace, Russia continues day after day to strike at Ukrainian territory, including civilian targets. We condemn these strikes, which must absolutely stop.
Only diplomacy backed by strength can be effective, said Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky as he spoke to press in Paris ahead of Thursday's summit.
We hope the Americans will insist on an unconditional ceasefire over the Black Sea. Currently, Russia refuses this unconditional ceasefire on land, in the air and at sea, demonstrating that it intends to continue and escalate the war. Therefore, we must continue exerting pressure on Russia to truly end this conflict. Only diplomacy backed by strength can be effective. Tomorrow, we anticipate new and robust decisions. The time has come to agree on security guarantees, address specific security concerns, and discuss the deployment of partner forces in Ukraine.
Today, Emmanuel Macron will be hosting European leaders in Paris for a summit aimed at boosting Ukraine's security ahead of possible peace talks. And we will keep you updated as the story develops. In Bucharest, supporters of Călin Georgescu organized a rally protesting the ban on his candidacy for the presidential elections. Georgescu, who is known for his hardline pro-Kremlin and anti-NATO views, was leading in opinion polls before the ban was issued by Romania's Central Election Commission. Now, the rally, called Free Romania, was organized by right-wing populist party Alliance for the Union of Romanians, which calls the ban of Georgescu a coup d'etat. Protesters gathered in front of the Romanian parliament in Bucharest on March 26, which coincided with Georgescu's 63rd birthday. And Georgescu came first in the November elections, but the Constitutional Court annulled the vote after finding irregularities in Georgescu's campaign financing. The candidate has been backed by Moscow. New elections are now planned in Romania for May 4. Global public opinion is closely following the political situation in Romania, where the electoral process has taken an unexpected turn. The Trump administration is also keeping a close watch on recent events. Now, the issue was addressed by Ioana Popescu on Wednesday's episode of Wider View. You'll find the full show on TVP World's YouTube channel.
The Trump administration has an interest to show Europe as a whole that they are doomed to follow in the footsteps of the kind of far-right drift that we're seeing in the United States. And then I'm quite sure that we're going to see the same kind of insistence when it comes to elections elsewhere. We've already seen it in Germany with Elon Musk supporting the AfD. We've already seen not President Trump, sorry, the Trump administration attack some of the Polish officials like Radek Sikorski. And Russia itself will also recycle the same recipe. Russia never leaves a successful experience, and it has been successful to some extent, as you can see from all this instability. It never leaves such a successful experience go unused and unperfected in other places.
On Wednesday, hundreds of Serbian education workers blocked the main bridge in Belgrade. The blockade was part of a strike staged in support of student-led anti-corruption protests that have been rocking the country since February. Now, teachers across Serbia went on full or partial strikes, to which the government responded by cutting their salaries. Although the protest was not organized by the students, many of them joined the demonstrations because of the support they received from the teachers. According to local reports, despite rainy conditions, the protesters blocked the bridge for some 3 hours. Now, the Serbian capital has seen repeated protests after the collapse of a train station roof in Novi Sad in November 24. The incident, which claimed 16 lives, prompted the Serbian public to question maintenance oversight of public infrastructure by government officials. We need Greenland for national and international security, Donald Trump reiterated on Wednesday during a press conference in the Oval Office. The President of the United States also claimed that the country will do whatever it takes to secure the island for the U.S.
Greenland for national security and international security. So I think we'll go as far as we have to go. We need Greenland, and the world needs us to have Greenland, including Denmark. Denmark has to have us have Greenland. And, we'll see what happens. But if we don't have Greenland, we can't have great international security. If you look at the ships outside of Greenland, China, Russia, places that we have to be there. If we're not there, we can't have national or international security. So I view it from a security standpoint, we have to be there.
International Atomic Energy Agency Chief Rafael Grossi told Reuters on Wednesday that the Russian-held Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant in Ukraine could come back online within months if a ceasefire is reached. Grossi added that though he cannot take any view on how ownership should be set up, Ukraine should be part of that discussion.
So there you have a basic question that if there is a conversation between the United States and the Russian Federation and, of course, Ukraine, will have to be addressed. Will have to be addressed in any scenario, any alternative that you can imagine, ownership by the current power in control, which is the Russian Federation, return to Ukraine, alternatively the United States. It has also been mentioned. So,
on Wednesday, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un supervised tests of new AI-equipped suicide drones. During the drills, Kim said that unmanned platforms and AI capabilities must be top priorities for North Korea's modern arms development efforts. Now, the new reconnaissance drones are reportedly capable of detecting various targets and enemy activity on land and sea. The North Korean regime also officially unveiled an airborne early warning aircraft intended to improve its aging air defense systems. According to military experts, the aircraft was refurbished from a DPRK cargo plane. They also said that one early warning aircraft would not be enough to expand North Korean air defenses, and efforts to field more of them would risk cannibalizing the rest of Pyongyang's cargo fleet. And that's all for this edition of World News here on TVP World. I'm Diana Skaya. Thanks for watching.